It's just me, Keenan, today. Like I said, Amir's chewing on his toenails. And we are joined by Casey Gerlach. What's up, Casey?
How you doing, Keenan? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so we were just starting off the show and we were playing some of your music. Why don't you just tell people what the name of your band is?
Our name is called Lost to the Void. We're Bay Area death metal, deathcore outfit, whatever you want to label us. We don't really care. We just like making heavy, aggressive music and try to put our own spin on a genre that sometimes can feel a little stagnant as much as I love it. Try to do something new for sure.
Yeah, changing it up and so forth. So you got a new music video that dropped the other day, huh?
Yes, we just put out our third music video for our new album that's called Embrace and Disgust, coming out everywhere September 1st via Blood Blast distribution. This third video is definitely one that's very special to us. Kind of saved it as like a knockout punch, hopefully. Song's called Poppy Place. Definitely our most theatrical music video that we shot.
And there's a lot of story behind that and a lot of the other sort of videos you've been putting out, and there's a whole story behind this project. We're going to kind of get into that. But I really want to start off with just like the very beginning. So you're in this band, Lost to the Void, and maybe you tell people what it is you do, because your role has changed over time.
Yeah, so Lost to the Void became active in 2017, and we had basically my band at the time was breaking up, but had kind of the next plans of what next project I wanted to do. And all I knew is I wanted to do it with my brother Colin. He was like kind of refound his love for guitar at the time, and I had songs written for my old band that we ended up using on the first release. I had songs from even the band before that because members were supposed to be in the project and it didn't end up working out. But basically, with all the lineup shifts, when the official band started, I was actually a guitar player. I didn't start off as the vocalist, but right before we started recording our debut EP, it just made sense for me to switch to vocals. Our vocalist, dear friend of ours at the time, but it just wasn't working out, and we were lucky enough to have one of our best friends, bassist best friend, willing to play guitar for us. And ever since we made that switch, just kind of kept the train rolling like that. And I think we all look back and think that was the best move for the band.
Yeah, before we get into that history, there's some like accomplishments you guys have had in terms of shows. You work with Pinup and you do a lot of stuff in the Bay Area, but you guys used to do Bay Area Death Fest. Mm-hmm. And a big accomplishment for you guys was a couple years back, you booked Dying Fetus, which was actually like pretty legit. They're from Maryland, so you're like flying this really big like world touring band from like the East Coast to San Francisco to play your show, and you guys did it at the DNA Lounge.
Yeah, Lost wasn't active then, so Lost, I just wanted to clarify that Lost was, we played the following year with the Faceless date.
Oh, it was the Faceless.
But yes, that was like the first Bay Area Death Fest that I had any direct involvement with. I think that was the first one Pinup was helping out with, or we might have helped promote the year before. But that was the first one we were like actively involved, where I had an active hand with that. And funny enough, I filled in for a band doing vocals for the Dying Fetus date that day too. So I still got to perform that show.
Yeah, because I saw photos of you on stage up there.
Yeah, that was filling in for a band called Enigma, a tech death band doing vocals.
Yeah, dude. So you've shifted from guitar to vocals, but you've always been doing that performative thing for a while. So let's go all the way back. Let's bring the clock back and talk about the early days. You had a project called Beyond Tragedy.
Oh my god, dude.
So talk about edgy, fucking angsty teenagers, high schoolers, middle schoolers. So what was that all about?
So Beyond Tragedy is, I'll say, my first real band that I was a part of. It was started in middle school, and we stuck with the name until the band broke up. And I'd been in other bands, like cover band, metal bands and stuff like that, but that was the first one where we were writing our own music and doing it. And lots of lineup changes with it, but I would say once we got out of high school was really my introduction to learning how to operate a band. So I was a guitarist and the frontman, which cap off to anybody that does that. I don't know how I used to do that stuff back in the day because that is crazy to manage both playing some pretty technical material and doing the vocals for it too. But that's really uh, where I really felt like I learned being in like an adult band and like how to properly promote shows and book shows, go about it. And two people I'll shout out: Julian, who I've Zadarovich, who I've in another band with now called Stranger Than. Been in multiple bands with him. Old band Behold the Desecration, and Mike Jones, who I'm in his band Utter Scorn as well now too. He also plays guitar in Lost to the Void with us now, and they actually have some connections with Lost to the Void. Originally, were supposed to be a part of the project, and Mike couldn't do it at the beginning because he was just moving to slow, and Julian didn't have time. But two of the songs that we used, we actually were writing when we were in Beyond Tragedy, and they were good with me using it for Lost to the Void stuff feature. So they have some personal touches on our debut release, and now that Mike has joined Lost to the Void, he'll have some obvious contributions going forward too. But yeah, there's learned a lot of mistakes with that band, but I think we did some pretty cool things and for how young we were. And I think in a way was like the test band if I always wanted to mix all these different subgenres of extreme music, but it wasn't necessarily so cohesive, at least at first. It kind of was, this song would sound metalcore, this song would sound deathcore, this song would sound like death metal. And I then joined a more formulated band, Behold the Desecration, which I'm sure we'll talk about after, which kind of helped me balance how a song should be in like a little more marketable or cohesive. I don't know, structure. I'd say structure is probably the best way to describe what that band helped me with. So it took my original vision of Lost to try to be diverse, and then what it is to be more structured. And I kind of learned how both sides worked. And then when we did Lost, I think we do a pretty good balance of the songs make sense and flow, but I think we really range into a lot of territory that bands of our similar taste might not explore into.
I mean, the whole thing about heavy metal is it's kind of like a maze of subgenres, and everybody kind of like picks their hill to die on, and so it kind of doesn't really matter in the end as long as the music's good. What I was gonna then talk about is I actually met you, I think in 2013.
That sounds about right.
And I met Colin, your brother. Oh man, that had to be 2012, 2011.
Yeah, you guys are at San Jose State together, right?
Yeah. So this is kind of like, how things go full circle, because there's a lot of interesting overlap between you and me and Colin. I met Colin at the San Jose State cafeteria, and Colin's sitting there at the table, and he's got like 3 plates of food, and he's just eating, just fucking wolfing down food. And Colin was a bodybuilder. He was built like a brick shithouse. And he's sitting there, and he's wearing a Whitechapel shirt, and it's the one that says the saw is law, and it's got the razor saw on it with the 3 stars. And I'm like, Whitechapel, that's fucking cool. So I just struck up a conversation with him, and he was always like an open-minded, very down-to-earth kind of guy. And he started talking to me, and we would just shoot the shit. And it turns out that I had been taking guitar lessons from Chris Lee from San Jose. He at the time he was in a band called Kinetic. Now he's in Earthcrawler, so shout out to Chris. And it was really weird because I was talking to Colin. This is after I had known him for a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, I'm really into guitar too, blah, blah, blah. I'm taking lessons. Like, oh, you're taking lessons? I'm like, yeah, I got this teacher. His name's Chris Lee. Colin was like, what the fuck? and it turned out like he had taken lessons from Chris, and you had as well. Yep. And that was kind of like nutty. So when did you start learning guitar?
10 years old. I got my first guitar, and I kind of noodled around before that on Colin's one, but I always 10 years old was when I got my first acoustic and started taking lessons from Chris. And yeah, shout out to Chris. He's awesome guy, absolute monster on guitar. And I know anybody wants to say this, there's tons of great guitar players out in the Bay Area. That guy can literally do anything, any style of music you pick up. It's phenomenal watching that guy play, and very blessed to have learned from him.
He's
and
also
have him push me the way he did. I know a lot of people.
He's a massive asshole.
Yeah, but, some people don't thrive off that. But like I don't know, I came from like a sports background and like having a football coach screaming.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It totally it was the right teacher for me.
Oh,
I always want to prove him wrong. Like come back the next week, he's like, yeah, you're not gonna get this down, and then like come back the next week, have it down, and then. Yeah, sometimes I went, and then he'd be able to talk some more shit. So I made sure I got it back the second week. But yeah, no, I definitely thrived in that environment.
Oh god, and the number of times where you'd shoot me out. One of the things Chris did, which totally fucked with my head. You remember he would make you do those hand synchronization exercises, the chromatics. Yeah. So I came up with a version of it that I called Spider Crawl, and it was my own version of it that I came up with that I showed him. So I was trying to get faster and faster at it. And he was forcing me to do the alternate picking style, like
down.
Yeah, just the strict alternate. This is before I got into economy picking, and I was really struggling with it. I was frustrated, and he could tell I was frustrated. So like he would play the metronome on the PA system in his little studio. This is on 4th Street all the way down past Japantown.
Practice place.
Yeah, dude, right next to the 101.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the 101 near the airport. And I would ride my bike down there and carry my guitar on my back. So I would get down there and I was tired but I'd have to immediately get into practice and playing. And this one time I was just super frustrated and my arms were sore and I just wasn't really doing well. And so he has a mixing station and he pulls his phone out and he starts playing this wrinkle porn where it's like these two 80-year-olds are fucking each other.
Oh, what the hell?
And he's playing it on the PA. And then he starts pushing up the fader on the mixer, and it goes like this. It gets louder, and you can hear these two old people, Eustace, boning and fucking in the background. And I'm trying to do my scale, and it's like dit 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 click dit 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 click dit. You remember the little
the metronome?
Yeah, dude, and that's playing in the background, and I'm hearing something else. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? And it's these two old people boning each other. And he's like, you just look too uptight.
Yeah, that's a new technique. I never heard that strategy from Chris, but that's awesome. I guess different students require different teaching methods.
He would fuck with me all the time.
Yeah, he's a fucking character. He definitely made us fucking laugh. Like something my brother used to always say, like we'd be talking about. Like Chris is all about the groove, like like he loves like some Pantera and stuff like that. And Colin always talk about like for Chris is always you hear that? That's just fucking bad, dude. My brother always fucking quoted that with Chris. But that's hilarious about that. So curious, I'm gonna ask you a question for your spider crawl thing. I wonder if it's the same thing that like I learned this technique at a camp and it was called right hand torture. So was it like you'd go start on the 6th string and then you'd go to the 5th string and then you'd go down like each string, like 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, but like 1, 2, 3, 4 on the frets. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go back up or change the direction of it. Or
so for me, what I'm alternating is it's a combination of cross picking. So it's 6th string, 5th string, 6th string, 5th string.
That was my second guess.
Right, and then once you complete that set, you move to the next series. But the picking is fucked up because it's down, up, down, up, and so you're jumping across the strings as you go instead of doing the economy picking where you're picking in between the strings. You're going from the outside, so you have to do the thing where you flick your wrist out to get over the string and then bring it up.
I know. I was just I used to be a chromatic junkie. Like there was a while that's all I was practicing with Chris, and he was okay. Chris at some point was like, "Okay, I'll just teach you what he abandoned his curriculum for."
He's just like, "I'm gonna teach."
He said, "What? Tell me what you want to learn," kind of thing. I was like, "Dude, I just want to get faster and shred." So there's definitely a while where all I was doing was all these different chromatic exercises and stuff.
It shows because the stuff you do live, like I struggle to do that, like sitting in my chair trying to do it, and you're just like doing it. And it's one of those things. Everyone has their own their own style about it. It was just very interesting though that it just so happened that like I knew Chris, you knew Chris, Colin did, and that was kind of like another thing. So and after I met Colin a while later, he was like, "Hey, you should come by this place. We've got this band house, and it's this infamous place, Fourth and Williams. It's the old house next to the Bicycle Express." And I thought that place was a dump when I first went there, but I recently went onto Google Earth and I zoomed in, and there's like an RV now parked behind that place in the
Oh,
the
no
back.
way.
Yeah, there's like and there's trash everywhere, and it's even worse than when you guys were living there.
Bet they regret kicking us out. They're like, oh shit, those fucking metalhead dudes actually like took better. Like it was a dump, but like there was a work in progress. You know, like dude, I got a lot of like shit that the owners had fucking left on that property the fuck out of there because we like built that practice spot in the back, and it was just hard maintaining that many roommates when your whole band and all their significant others and my brother and other friend, like that was a fucking madhouse.
Oh my god,
dude. It was we called it the estate. It was basically a metalhead fraternity house with no education going on. It was all just partying and death metal.
Oh man, I remember you guys would play Mario Kart on the N64.
Yeah, a drinking game. Yep, you couldn't drink and drive. Yeah, my strategy, I would just pound my beer and then I'd drive the game. Everyone would do the like, put the controller down to drink their beer. I was like, fuck that, dude. I'm gonna slam this shit and just go, baby. Ain't no breaks after. No breaks never.
Oh man, so that was interesting because I stayed for a while on your couch. And that was goofy because
I just remember that now. Yeah, because you had classes early, and it was like walking distance from school, pretty much. So,
so that was a weird situation because I had kind of been fighting with the folks, and I was kind of an asshole at the time. I was kind of stubborn, and it was a little bit rough, and I had kind of been staying away from the home. So, and then on top of that, I was taking the newspaper class at San Jose State. I was doing the Spartan Daily, and then I was interning at San Jose Metro with John Ha. Shout out to John Ha. He was the advertising director there. He taught me a lot about marketing and sales and so forth. And Dan Fucrano, who taught me a lot about running a business and so forth. Dan's the owner of the Metro. So I was doing all those gigs, and I was driving home. And I'd get home around 3 a.m, and then I'd have to get up by 6 to go to my 7:30 a.m. class because it was the only section of English that was open. So I was getting like 3 hours of sleep, and I fell asleep while driving my car home.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I almost ate it. I fell asleep while driving, and then I was like, I'm never fucking doing that again. So for a few weeks, I was crashing around at the frat house. I was a Theta Chi, and then I was crashing at one of the other houses. Because I had some friends over there. And then I ended up crashing at your place.
Yeah.
And it was just...
I hella forgot about that till you brought up. But to be fair, we had a lot of couch people staying.
Oh, fuck, dude. But the thing about it that was hilarious is you guys had a couch, and it was right next to this wall that wasn't a real wall. You had put up fake walls in this house. So Visto, who was living there, put up these fake fucking walls, and you crammed even more people into the house. And it was just like, it was fucking batshit crazy. And then when you guys got evicted, you did a music video because Visto had put up these walls. You had to get rid of them.
Yeah. So the story with that is, we split the living room in half, and Visto's room was actually technically supposed to be the kitchen or like the dining room. Sorry.
Right.
Like, so he put a wall in between they have this like sliding door type thing to block off if you wanted the room closed. So he blocked that off, and then we split the living room in half because we had a roommate named Gabe. He was like staying in the room with Visa. Was like, hey, can I just split this in half and do this? And we're like, fuck it, makes it cheaper than anybody for everybody. So I let him put it up because when I moved in there was Darren, was a leaseholder. He gave the lease over to me because he moved out when it was time to renew, and the landlord never did a walkthrough. And I have no guilt for this place because total fucking slumlord family with that shit. They were trying to had roots growing in the fucking bottom stairs toilet, and we're trying to get us to pay for it. No, that's not our responsibility.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But basically, yeah, when we got evicted from the place, not technical eviction, but basically told to leave. It's just easier to just say eviction. That they weren't renewing the lease. Before that, the landlord had to walk through. I think it was when the roots were going on. He walks into the living room. He didn't notice when he walked in. It was when he was walking back out. He looks and sees the wall, and he's like, "What is this?" And I'm just, I don't know. It was there when I moved in. It's fucking proving you never gonna fucking walk through.
Oh my god!
So he just tells me this comes down when you move. No problem. So when we, I had the idea. I knew that it was only a matter of time. We had that place for many years, surprisingly, had it a lot. And I was like, "Oh, we're gonna shoot a music video of us tearing this fucking wall down." So yeah, from my old band, Behold the Desecration. We did that, and what's so fucking tragic about that is Brian. We never actually put out what was supposed to be the official video. Brian, we recorded it. Brian asked for, "Hey, can I get the footage?" He was going to school at the time, like a music school, so they do video editing shit too. It would just saved him from filming a music video. I was like, "Can I just get the clips?" And he just put the clips over one of our old songs. And Julian's stupid ass fucking Brian's like, "Hey, look at this thing I did for my class." Julian, and I remember it was midnight. He posted it our music video stuff, and it's dude, that was totally not what we were gonna release, not even the right song. But it's already out there. So didn't have any time to promote it. Wrong song. So it's fucking out there. Anyway, it was on Brian's YouTube channel that he put that out. And then Brian, I think when he was joining Wolf King, kind of wanted to scrub his shit at Behold. I don't know how proud of everyone else can be proud of Behold in it. I don't think Brian was too proud of that band. But he deleted it, thinking that it was posted elsewhere, so that video is nowhere to be found anymore.
Oh my god!
It sucks. Yeah, everyone's like Dreamer was telling a story the other day. He was at one of his work sites where he's telling the story about this music video. "Yeah, I'll pull it up," and he's couldn't find the video, and it's yeah, Brian deleted it. So yeah, no actual. The only video that we have of that is I could probably scrounge around on Facebook and find. There's this video we told everybody hey, when we did the wall scene, we needed a few shots of Julian hitting the wall with the sledgehammer.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I told everybody hey, don't charge the wall. We need some shots of Julian hitting it. And of course, a crowd of drunken fucking people don't fucking listen. I just remember Julian swinging the hammer, and by the third time he hits the wall, I see him pulling the hammer back, and I just see Vista's stupid face, right in the fucking hole. He barely missed Vista's face by the fucking sledgehammer. And yeah, there's a video of everyone charging it, and if you listen, you could hear me running out, being stop, and trying to yell at people, and I just go with it. And also, man, did I save our camera guy. He had one of his cameras it was on a tripod. There was a point when the wall was coming down, this one fucking support beam swung down or fell down, and I fucking blocked it from, and it I just remember seeing the look on my camera, and the camera guy's face, but just so relieved that I fucking blocked it from his camera. But yeah.
So those are some pretty fucking wild times, man.
For sure, man. The early 20s were crazy.
I think we're gonna take a moment and go take our first break because we covered a lot of ground. We're gonna play one of your music videos. What is this video?
So this is our newest single. It's called Poppy Place. It was written, funny enough, by Paul and Drew for their old band. Kind of, I guess, their way of how I took songs from Beyond Tragedy and Behold the Desecration, brought it to this band. This is actually one of their songs, and Drew.
So we're gonna play Poppy Place, and we'll come back.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect,
we'll come right back. All right. Hey, sorry about that. We have a rough version of the recording, but we're gonna bring up one from YouTube. While we're bringing that up, why don't you tell us a bit about Poppy Place? You said it was from their previous band.
Yeah, so they were in a band called Lechuza, and it was a song that they wrote for that project, and they wanted to put it on the new album. pitched it to us. Everyone in the band liked it, and it's funny when we were discussing singles for it, and it was before like we had stuff finalized. Drew proposed this as a single, and I was like, I like the song, but I just don't hear it as a single, and I don't know why. Because eventually, when it all came together, I would say this is, if this makes sense at all, I think it's the best song on the album, but it's not necessarily my favorite. I just think like the length of the song and like there's just certain things about it that I think that it's the most well-rounded as a single. And basically it was the title Poppy Place. They lived in Mountain View in a house, and it was on Poppy Place is the address or the street name, and they were going through a really rough time in their life and not able to heal in an environment. So that was their specific environment. But I think we took that topic of that, and it's no one's is the one same, but being stuck in whether it's a physical place or a mental place. So it's very much about like when you're getting numb and detached from like any emotion. You're not even feeling depressed. You're not even feeling it.
Yeah, it's disassociation. Yeah. No, I know what that's like. I gotta tell you, man, I've been in grad school for now going on 4 years, and my graduate advisor is like, "Hey, so you want to consider the PhD program?" And I'm like, "No,
I'm done."
Okay, so we've got the video now up, and we are ready to go. This is Poppy Place, the newest single by Lost to the Void.
This is the LFG podcast.
All right, and we're back from that little break. We got the Lost to the Void logo up. It's a pretty cool graphic, actually. Who designed that?
Drew would have to tell you. It's an artist that does like a bunch of bands of our style, and I don't want to say a band that he did that he didn't actually do, but we came up with the concept of the logo, and we tried doing it ourselves. Drew does a lot of our graphic design, but he couldn't really get exactly what we wanted, and Drew kind of sent him like, hey, this is my rough idea, send him like his ideas. I don't know the artist name, unfortunately. Drew would be the one I would have to answer that.
We'll plug it in the description on the video later on. But it's cool to just collaborate and have all that. I mean, a lot of what you've described, the fact that you carried over songs from Beyond Tragedy into BTD, Doomblade, Cyclops. What was it?
Yeah, and the loss. Doomblade, Orc Cyclops, and question mark. Right. I always make the joke, like when people ask, like, "Hey, what's that song called?" I usually just shrug, but like if I really have to end, it's called question mark.
Yeah, exactly. So you carried those forward, and then you carried things over into Lost.
From BTD to Lost.
And then your other members from Lost have also carried things over, like Poppy Place. So it's very collaborative. It's not like one person dictating everything.
No, not at all. I mean, I'll say when the first EP was out, I will fully admit I was too controlling, but it was very much
you were trying to get it off the ground.
I'm trying to get it off the ground, and I like went from writing a good, I would say good 60-70% of the first EP, because having songs pre-written that they were all down to use, and then switching to vocals. I was very particular of exactly how I wanted guitar parts to be, and I just kind of approached the band as like, hey guys, I've had this vision and I've done all this. I promise if we could just do this, get the first one out, I promise I'm not going to be like this going forward. And I think all my bandmates will agree that like the process has been way more collaborative, and like we don't just have like a set it's not just like, oh, this person writes this song and brings it in. We have way different approaches for different songs. I could go down each song and tell you how we approached it differently. Some songs were written as a band. Some songs were each members had a song that they got to lead on the album, at least one, and in a lot of cases multiple. And then people transcend what instrument ideas. From Paul will think of drum parts, will think of guitar parts, and I'll have other people write lyrics. I'll have other people write the vocal patterns of stuff. And yeah, one song we actually wrote out verse chorus. It's just kind of strange. It was funny. Paul fucking hated that at first, but it ended up being a song he really loves now. It's like, yeah, it's different because we don't do that normally. So right. Yeah, we really pride ourselves in having different approaches.
And changing it up and varying it. James actually was a member, James Sindibe, and he's got a song on this record, right?
Yeah, that's true. So James was our keyboardist, and basically in 2020, when everything shut down, like we'd put our first EP out in end of 2019, and got to play 3 shows, and all our tour plans and everything for that release just got fucked. So we went of the idea, not knowing where money's going to come from. It's like, let's just work on the next one. So we wrote the record in 2020, and James had a lot of personal stuff going on, and just honestly wasn't having fun in the band anymore. They kind of separated himself when we were writing this together for a lot of things. And by the end of 2020, I think it was like Christmas, he told me, he's like, hey man, I've been thinking, like, want to leave the band. He just wasn't feeling it anymore. But there was a song that, and there's other stuff he wrote besides that one song on the new thing, but there was one song that he led that, yeah, we still used. He wrote the lyrics for the most part. I might switch things or added things here and there, but yeah, we have a song that he led. Yeah, The Mirror is his song.
Cool. I mean, it's really interesting to see like how many people have come through all these projects you've done, and like how all that collaborates. It's kind of like a soup, and everybody's dropping their own vegetables and meat in there,
For sure.
Very collaborative. So let's get into a little bit of the history maybe with Colin, because Colin's not around anymore. So he passed last year, 4th of July, first year of him not being here. And I went to his memorial service. That was actually a really cool time to catch up with you guys. I hadn't seen you guys in a long time. And he's got some stuff that's on this record. You guys put in some extra work to capture his live recording of some of his solos. So even though he's not here, he's still on the record, and his presence is still felt. Maybe you can talk a little bit about.
Yeah, so I just want to start off with saying is my brother was my best friend growing up, my hero, one that introduced me to this type of music, and also teaching me. And I think you brought up earlier, and I wanted to say it's awesome that you guys saw each other t-shirts. There's two types of metalheads. There's the ones that, hey, nice shirt, and then you talk and kick it off, and then there's the one like, oh, like try to be too cool when someone is like calling with, you know what I mean? Have you ever done that? Yeah, Slayer or whatever, like shirt wearing, and then the guys or like whatever.
Yeah.
Colin was very much. You said that he was gonna bond with you like that, so I've tried to carry that spirit with him, with myself, going forward. But he we were very fortunate as with that he was able to record all his guitar parts before passing. The one thing he didn't get to record, and I shouldn't beat myself up with it. It's like logically makes sense, but I was very much like, no, get all your rhythm stuff recorded first. That because if Colin would have recorded his solos, he probably would have wanted to like change them later. He won't come up with something cooler. So it kind of made sense to like get all your rhythm stuff recorded first, then record your solos. Unfortunately, he did pass before his solos recorded, but the way we run our live rig, we run off a Logic project and we have to record. So we were able to like it. What made the most sense is me record my brother's guitar solos for the album. And there's the song The Mirror, which was James's song, which James kind of worked on the solo with Colin. He gave him the rough idea and Colin like really filled it out. So I listened to Colin's live takes of that and heard the things because we had all of them on file. So I would hear what he was doing consistently and what he was improvising. So everything that he was doing consistently, I recorded that, and then things he was improvising, either picked what we liked the best, or if we couldn't really figure something that really connected, I just kind of improvised. But I always try to do it what I thought Colin would do. But for this song Dead Weight, which we'll be playing later, is the single that Colin was the main writer for, and he very much led. We had a live solo take that was just perfect. It was so fitting that it was that song that it was like, let's just put that on the record. So for Colin's main song, he did get his solo, and that's something that's like really special to me, that he at least gets one of those. And like there's another solo on the record that Colin and I were writing together, so I knew how to play for another, and then there's a song that Drew knew what Colin was going for, and there's something I knew what Colin was going for, at least what scales he wanted to use, because I knew he wanted to differentiate that certain. So definitely tried to write these solos in the vein of how Colin would approach the solo, not necessarily myself, kind of thing. And it was awesome to have something to listen to do it, and then also we were able to just take that one for Dead Weight. It's pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing you were able to preserve as much as you could and still capture that essence of, you know, his musical style, his take. And you guys were so close to each other coming up. I mean, listening to the same stuff and him introducing music to you the way he did, there's no way you wouldn't know what it is he was doing, because you guys like came up not only as brothers but as musicians and everything. I mean, and you had the same teacher. I mean, so it actually kind of worked out in some ways. I mean,
for sure,
making the most of a really difficult situation, that is. So I don't know how much further you want to go with talking about Colin. It's up to you. I mean,
yeah, I mean, we always we do this for him. This is very much, this album has been very important to us. We've worked on it for 3 years now, and finally
Right.
getting it out, because we've had a lot of other setbacks and loss of family members and other things. And this is very much my like preservation of my brother. Like something that like always gets at me is Colin never got to hear the final product. You got to hear the pre-pros and demos. We basically recorded this album twice, to hear when we were writing it, recorded it with demos, and then re-recorded it. He never got to hear the final product. So I hope if there is something on the other side that he appreciates and is proud of this record as proud as we are. And one thing that is really cool is that we have tons of recorded songs that we didn't use, riffs we didn't use of Colin's recorded. I have a bunch of videos from his phone because that's how he would record and keep his ideas down. That Colin will always have writing in this band and his fingerprint, even though he's no longer with us. We'll continue to use his material. And one song, A Welcome Plague, I think is really cool. An example of how we can do stuff like this is it was all Colin's riffs that he recorded.
On his phone?
No, it was we recorded it when we were doing the demo stuff. Drew took a bunch of different riffs that Colin wrote and basically built a song out of them.
Oh, that's cool, like Legos.
So it was like Drew composed it, but Colin wrote it. And like Drew added a riff here. I think I added a riff to the song, but another different approach of how we approach songs. But it's a Colin song that Drew composed. So.
That's awesome, man. Which one is that?
That's called The Welcome Plague. That will actually be our final single that drops the day before our album drops.
Okay, and was it September 9th you said?
No, September 1st is when the album drops, so that song will drop August 31st.
August 31st. Okay, and then you guys have like a big festival thing that you're doing as well.
Yes. We made a joke when we did our first release. We called it Void Fest because we did 10 bands in one night at O'Malley's. And then with us doing a full length this time, everyone in the band besides Paul was like, I don't want to fucking play over an hour-long set, and I don't want to put people through that. So came up with this idea. Let's split the album in half. We'll have 2 different nights, 2 different set lists, 2 different lineups of bands. We're having 2 stages, so it's 10 bands per night. So it's like
pretty big. Doubling
up what we did last time. And we made the joke by calling it Void Fest. We didn't think we were gonna stick with it, but I forget, like, I think the title was left on it when we actually announced the show. And the first time around, we're like, fuck it. So it's not going to be like a yearly thing. And who even knows if we do it again for our next release.
But it's a cool idea.
Yeah, and it's going to be really special. It's honestly like the thing that I feel like I've been working on this album. We've been working on this album for so long. Probably the proudest thing I've ever done in my life, and a way of really memorializing Colin. And we've been doing this for the last year or so and we know we got to tone it down. We can't just we'll always mention it, but we can't do it at the level. We don't want to just like fucking use Colin's death as a way to like profit off it or push this. It gets weird like that when I think you go on too long with it. So we've kind of made the decision. Yeah, we'll probably mention it once the show, probably when like Deadweight or one of his songs plays. But this is going to be the last show that we have Colin's backing tracks play with us, because we do have a new guitarist, Mike Jones, that is filling the void, if you will. And I say that because Colin would appreciate a stupid, corny joke like that. So this is going to be the last show that we have Colin's backtracks play with us, because we wanted to have Colin play our CD release show with us, and we thought that was the best way to do it.
No, that's very good symbolically. I mean, that makes sense like that. I think that'll be a fun. And when is it?
It is September 8th and September 9th, a Friday, Saturday, and it is at the X Bar in Cupertino. I'm the booker there, so it made sense to. We're gonna do something extra for these shows that I don't think people have done at the X Bar. We're really trying to make it like the coolest show anyone's seen there. Being a little ambitious with stuff, but I think it's going to be a night to remember for sure.
All right. So that's why I was getting the dates mixed up, because that's the festival dates.
Yeah, we wanted to release the album a week before so that people can listen to it and then go to the show and know some songs more than just the singles and stuff like that. Hopefully.
Yeah, you're dropping some knowledge on some upcoming people if they want to learn how to promote. Just listening to how you strategize all that's pretty useful.
Yeah, we wanted to have a good strategy for our first release, but stuff went pushed back. That's part of what made this album take 3 years of getting all these music videos done and getting everything properly scheduled.
So we're gonna go on to the next video, and it's called Idyllic, I think.
Idyllic Dissension.
Idyllic Dissension. Okay, here we go.
You're listening to LFG.
All right. So that was Idyllic Dissension. It's pretty cool. What is that video about? It looks like a bunch of anarchy or something.
Yeah, so that was the first single we dropped off this, and it was with Drew joining the band. He didn't really have a lot of writing on the first EP. He kind of had to learn a bunch of songs, make some tweaks here and there. So we very much wanted the first single to be one of Drew's songs. So yeah, that was one that we heard, and we definitely felt like, oh, this is very digestible, if that makes sense. I don't want to call it generic or something, but it stands out, but it's also was kind of stuck true to what our original sound was, at least for the most part.
It's got a cohesive writing style to it. I get what you're saying about that. I think it was cool though that you said Drew joined the band and your first priority was to make him feel like a member. You were like, we're giving you the first segment.
For sure. It was, it kind of me being the, like I said, keeping my promise of like, I'm not going to be this controlling going forward. We want to really make sure the new person joining like had their fingerprint in early on. So yeah, it was the first song and first lyrics written for the album, and it was going on during the pandemic and all the civil unrest, and you know, there's mixed opinions and stuff like that even within the band, and basically the general consensus we had in the band, no matter political views, everybody's just being fucking idiots, just pointing fingers at each other and fucking screaming at each other rather than trying to actually make a difference and do something better. It's just trying to point the finger at, it's your fault, and it's like, you're never going to be able to convince somebody they're wrong by saying they're 100% wrong. You have to find a middle ground, and that's just kind of like what that song is about, is how everyone is, us as a species, it's just rather scream our points and show what side we're on rather than like make a difference to make a change.
This is coming from a death metal vocalist, of course, screaming our points. So I think one of the last things I wanted to ask you is like, how I constantly get asked this, is like, how do you listen to this music? How do you get into it? And I always thought of it as catharsis. But my question for you is like, how do you do the vocal stuff without screwing up your throat and all that?
You know, the Zen of Screaming is a great DVD to watch. Melissa Cross, it came out around when I was in high school. If you could hear my voice, it's very gruff. I've definitely done some damage to my voice of trying to do this kind of vocals from a little kid on. But the main thing is you gotta learn to sing. You don't have to have the prettiest voice, but you gotta learn how to utilize your diaphragm. And like, not like, oh, you push so hard. There's a natural feeling to it. Honestly, it's kind of like when you're subtly pushing a dump out. But learning to project it, doing these vocal technique, these singing exercises and breathing exercises, and like that's a big key of vocal damage, is people running out of breath. You think, oh, I have this big part, I have to come and take a big breath. That's not what you want to do. If you actually think when you take big breaths, you really have to push all that air out. It's about like a constant airflow. So you learn that with singing and screaming. So anybody that wants to learn to do screaming vocals, take some singing classes or look up some singing exercises online, or just get the Zen of Screaming DVD. They're going to teach, the warm-ups are going to be more singing stuff first. So that's, and also knowing that you really shouldn't be screaming more than 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's no matter what, it's not good for your voice. So it's really about managing it for sure.
All right. We got one more music video to play, and then we're going to go into our last segment. So let's see. This one's going to be Dead Weight.
the fuck walk along because we're all pretty much one and the same.
That's fucking good!
All right, and that was Dead Weight. That's pretty cool, you know. So you've seen a lot of content from your band, and I'm pretty excited about all the stuff you're going to be releasing in the near future. And we're going to have a final moment at the end for you to do some shout outs and stuff. But we're now going to move into the final segment, the best segment. It's called Fucked Up Flashcards.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to ask you.
You're going to get me in trouble.
I'm going to ask you as many questions as I can within a 2-minute period, and you got to answer them top of your head.
Okay. And your time starts after he reads the first question.
All right. So the first question. All right. Slipknot or Pantera?
Slipknot, my favorite band.
Okay. Every time you want to listen to Slipknot, from now on, you have to listen to Flocks of Seagulls instead.
I could get down with Flock of Seagulls.
All right. Bodybuilding or practicing guitar?
Bodybuilding.
All right. What's your favorite meal?
Lobster.
All right. Pepper sprayed in the face or tased in the balls?
Pepper sprayed in the face.
All right. Limp Bizkit or Corn?
Corn.
Okay. Trip to South America or Southeast Asia?
That's tough. South America.
All right. The Earthquakes or the San Jose Sharks?
Sharks.
Sharks, okay. 49ers or Raiders?
49ers.
All right, you're never allowed to go to another 49ers game again.
That's false.
If you go there, they're gonna arrest you and throw you out.
Try and stop me.
Try to stop me. All right, boxing or judo?
Boxing.
Boxing, okay. Ham and eggs or a BLT?
Ham and eggs.
All right. Comic books or comic book movies?
Comic book movies.
All right. Reeby Deeby or Stinky Babies?
Reeby DBs. Always Reeby DB.
All right. Britney Spears and Jennifer Lopez are in a knife fight. Who wins?
Lopez for sure.
All right. And the last question, okay? You come home from work, you're parked in your driveway, it's been a long day, and you're tired. The passenger door opens, and Colin sits in the seat next to you, and he puts a CD in the CD player. What CD is it?
I'm really eclectic musician he was, but I'm gonna say Tool and Nima. I think that was his favorite record of all time.
You sit
If he
down
had to,
and
if he had a gun to his head.
you'd sit down and listen to Tool.
Yes.
All right. That's it. That's fucked up flashcards, dude. All right. You nailed it.
That's cool.
All right. So we got a few minutes left. We're kind of a little bit over the hour mark, but that's okay. We covered a lot of ground, and it was a pretty heavy episode. Why don't you tell me if you have any shout outs, any people you want to thank, anybody you want to mention?
Obviously, friends and family, but specifically my bandmates, Paul Madrid, Drew Llewellyn, Ivan Aguayo, and Mike Jones, for continuing this way of memorializing my brother. That means more to me than you guys. I'm sure they know, but you as an audience know that. And special shout out to my pinup family. It would be too many people to drop for all the help, and Blood Blast Distribution for helping us get this record out in our vision.
All right. Hey, man.
And fans. Got to remember the fans. Don't be I'm an ass almost did. We couldn't do this without y'all.
Yeah, the support, the community support. All right. I think that's the show, dude. Thanks.
Thank you very much for having me, King.
All right. Casey. For Colin, for evil, forever.